same. We cannot explain. Things about to change. Cause we run the game. Cause we run the game.
Howdy doody, everybody. Welcome back to another NewForm event with me, your host, Brandon Gross, and our awesome co-founder, Cole Jan. Super excited to have all of you guys here with me. I feel like I went too fast. Cole's hand went up and down very nonchalantly. How you doing today, Cole? You doing all right?
I'm very good, thanks, Brandon. How are you?
Good. He was like, Brandon just needs to take a breath between sentences. No, it's good to be here with you guys. Cole is going to be having a awesome workshop with you guys today. But I want to say hello to all of you guys in the chat, whether you guys are here watching on Instagram and or YouTube. If you guys are watching on Instagram, today is a 1 hour workshop that you guys probably want to be able to watch on the big screen. So if you guys are watching on Instagram I'm not going to steal all of Cole's thunder, but when we tell you what today's workshop is, I highly recommend you comment YouTube if you're watching on Instagram, because you will want to watch the full session here with us on the big screen and also be able to, we're looking at the comments here on Instagram, but a lot of our community is on YouTube as well. We're looking at both chats, but if you want to watch in a better capacity, comment YouTube on Instagram. We'll send you an automatic DM of the link to our channel so that you can watch us live. So with that being said, I want to say hi to, we have Ari, we have Nina, we have Pradeep, we have CTF, what's going on? We have Maeve. Glad to have you guys here. So, Cole, what do we have today?
Yeah, so we can go ahead and share my screen anytime here, and I think that it isn't actually shared with you, so give me one quick second here.
Actually, before we get into the screen share piece, because I got a couple more house cleaning items, but what are we going over for today? Like, gotcha. What is the spiel?
We will be building an announcement bar. So in the last workshop, we were focusing on some e-commerce sections, so we're kind of continuing that theme today with a nice announcement bar at the top. We're going to connect it to the CMS. We're going to have a countdown timer on there, and then we're going to be able to hide that so that it's not always visible. So that's what we're going through today.
Exactly.
And it'll be mobile responsive as well. Sorry, had to add that in
there. There we go. But if you guys have e-commerce stores, if you guys have announcements that you want to have at the top of your site, and you basically just have a bar where it's a countdown to whatever announcement or drop that you're doing, this is a good tutorial for you guys to watch, rewatch, and apply. Also, there is the Figma file for this and the Wix Studio template for free, so you can copy and paste this into your site or just see how it was designed in Figma. All the links to that are in our YouTube description box down below. Also, if you're new to Wix Studio, as you're watching what it is that we're building, that's the tool that we're using alongside Figma. If you want to check out Wix Studio, we have our link for that down below. And that is it. Also, last but not least, if you guys are participating in our NewForm challenge, okay, we got cash prizes, we got awesome trophies, digital trophies, and it's just a great way to build your portfolio, build your skill sets. I know Ari's in the chat. She just produced her own portfolio from a lot of the challenges that we have done in the past couple months, so shout out to her. And yeah, so go to newform.community/challenge, check it out, sign up. There's about somewhere between 4 and 3 days left, so get in there and power away. All right, Cole, switching to your screen, let's hop in.
Perfect. All right, so what we see on the screen right now is more or less what we're going to be building. So we have our countdown timer over here, and all of this data is actually going to be set with the CMS. So oftentimes you'll have an announcement for maybe a week or a month, and then you'll change over to a new announcement. So that's going to make it super easy to do so. We also have an X here to actually close it. And if we go ahead and click on this, it's just going to take us to a very low effort page I built just to demonstrate the purpose of this. So let's go ahead and navigate back. And if we click on the X, it just goes ahead and disappears just like so. Okay. Like Brandon was saying, we are going to be building this on Wix Studio. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, I would highly recommend it. They got an awful lot of cool stuff in here, and we'll be taking advantage of a lot of cool features that they have today. And if you want to download this,
hey, Cole, real quick, the screen. Sorry.
The screen left. Hey, darn. Okay, here we go. 1 second. Now it is back. Okay. If you want to go ahead and grab this template for yourself and play around with it, install it on your own site, then that's also super easy to do. You can just hop over to our site, newform.community that we have here. Go to resources, component library, and then scroll down. It should be the very first one that we have right there. And you can also view all of our past ones as well. E-commerce product displays, what we did last month. This one was really cool. And then we also have some marketing templates as well, and just a whole bunch of other cool stuff that myself and Brandon have put together. So without further ado, let's actually get into building this and see what we can make. So our journey kind of starts in Figma here. I've gone ahead and put together both the widescreen version of it up here. This is 1440 pixels wide. And then we also have the mobile version here. So we're just going to be rearranging a few things, getting rid of the image, but everything else will be staying. If you wanted, you could probably also fit the image on the side and left align everything, but we're just going for a nice simple layout here. So in order to import this, I assume some of you probably build in Figma and then bring it over to Wix Studio. That's the workflow we're going to be going through today. So in order to do that, we'll want to come up here and you'll need a plugin called Figma to Wix Studio. If you don't see it, just search for it. It should be the very first one that pops up. So once we are in here, we need to start our export, okay? So in order to do that, we need to set up some things on Wix Studio, and we will also need to copy the link of this Figma file. So if you're in the browser, you can just go ahead to the top and copy it off the top there. But in this case, I'm gonna go ahead, hit share, and then copy link, just like so. And that will copy it over, okay? Once we're here, let's actually go ahead and create a new page. This is kind of where we'll be working. And I'm going to go ahead and make a brand new page from scratch here so that you can see there's no tricks happening or anything. So we'll name this new demo, just like so. Okay. I'm also going to just delete the header and the footer here so we have a little more space to play with. Now, I already have it in the sidebar here, import from Figma, but if you don't see that, that's okay. Just come up here to the top left, these three lines here, come down to tools, and then you'll want to check import from Figma. Oops. And once you do that, it'll show up on the side there, and then you won't need to do that again for your site. If you create a new site, you'll have to just do that process quickly again. But otherwise you can just hop in the sidebar here and we can see it. Now I've already pasted in my link, but if you haven't, you would just paste it in at the top and hit connect, just like so, okay? Once we have done that, we can navigate back to our Figma file here. And actually, I think I closed this. Here we go. So we will hit setup export, and then we can click on done connecting my file. So next, match the editing size to the frame width. This is very important. We're going to go over that in a quick second, so we'll skip that for now. Now, if you're exporting a whole website, it's highly recommended that you export the styles first. We did this several workshops ago, so we should probably do it again soon, but we're going to skip it for today because we do have a lot to go over. So we're just going to select this wide desktop frame here, and we will click export frame. Now, I actually want to talk about this real quick. So right now, what we have is we have a rectangle, and then we have this text within it, okay? Now, Wix is actually going to recognize this and convert it into a button. So this is actually really good if you want a button, if you're building, a landing page or virtually anything. However, we actually don't want it to be a button. We, in fact, want it to be text with a border around the outside because we're going to be editing this text later. So instead, what I'm going to do is I just took this border and I just shifted it over so that it kind of intersects, but it doesn't. And so this way Wix is going to recognize that it is in fact its own shape and not turn it into a button. So that's why we're going to export this one down here, but you could export the one up here as well. So we're going to go ahead and hit export frame and just note down this 1440 pixels. This is going to be an important value. So we'll go ahead and export this frame just like so. Now, it's also a good time to probably mention that even though I have this mobile screen here on Figma, we actually won't be importing this into Wix Studio. So unfortunately, right now, the Figma to Wix Studio plugin only really supports having that widescreen desktop view. And then we're going to make it mobile responsive and make it look like this. So this one is just for reference. Unfortunately, we can't import it and switch between the two. Yeah, so it's just there so that we know. Oh shoot! Okay.
Screen action. No, we were good. We were rocking.
We were good. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's just for kind of your reference, so we know where things are going to go, but we won't in fact be importing that. So if you're, I guess, a little confused as to why we're not using it, that is exactly why. So yeah, let's just do all this again in case it didn't go through, and we will export our frame. Perfect. So now we are back in Wix Studio, and if you don't see your frame right here, you just go ahead and hit refresh import, and it should come in pretty quick. Now, when we're importing, we have three options. We can import the frame as a page, which is typically the default. We can import it as a section or a container. We're going to choose a section here. Generally, even if I'm importing like a whole website, I like to go section by section, and then containers are for little components that aren't, you know, a whole section. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and hit add to site here, and it's going to come in pretty quickly just because there's only one very small image and everything else is pretty much text, just like so. Perfect. So it actually looks relatively similar to what we have on Figma already. I'm just going to go ahead and make a couple quick adjustments here. So first of all, I'm going to center, oops, not like that. First of all, I'm going to attach it to this container that we have here. And then we can go ahead and center horizontally and vertically, just like so. And then I'm also going to bump this text up just a touch here. Sometimes text can be a little iffy, even if you do have the right fonts installed. If you don't have the right fonts installed, it's going to be super wonky. But even when you do have the correct fonts installed, it can sometimes be a bit of a struggle. But anyways, we got there in the end. So this is actually looking really, really good. Let's start connecting this to our CMS now, because the design is mostly done, and then we'll make it mobile responsive, and then we will add in a few snippets of code to actually get this countdown to function properly. Okay. So connecting it to the CMS is very, very simple. We're just kind of come down here to this button that says CMS, just like so. And in here, I already have a collection set up. But if you were to create a new collection, it'd be very simple. We just come in here to create collection, start from scratch, and then we would want to choose a single item collection here. Typically, you actually choose multi-item collection, but in this case, since it's just for one component that we're filling out, we just choose single item collection. Then you can go ahead and set the name and set the collection ID and hit create. But in this case, we're going to hop over into the one that I've already gone ahead and made. So in here, we can see we have some text, we have our image. I've also put in the alt text because I usually skip that for these workshops. So I decided I'd put it in there. We have our price, we have our expiration as well. This is what we're going to be calculating our countdown off of. And then we also have our URL, which we redirect to when the user clicks on our banner bar. Okay. So pretty straightforward stuff, but the nice thing about this is then we can go ahead and, for example, swap out this image with something else. I just have boots up here right now, but you could swap it out super easily. For example, with some media from Wix, you can also create something with AI, and that would be super, super easy. Okay, so we are going to hop out of here and save this. And that is pretty much it from actually setting up the CMS. Now we need to connect it. And Wix has actually made that super, super easy for us. So let's go ahead and just hit connect CMS, and it'll ask us to add a data set. So we'll hop in here and we can choose one first of all. Since we only have one, we will choose promo bar. And I like to get rid of this data set. I like to just set it to promo bar as the data set name to match our collection. So we'll go ahead and hit create, and then we'll get a couple options up here. So the image source, we're going to connect to the image. We're not going to see a whole lot of changes because it is in fact the exact same image, but I've gone ahead and changed this text up here. So we can, we'll see that change in a second. I also, for once, have connected the alt text, so we can connect the alt text. It's exactly the same way you would do it for anything else. Then in here, we can connect our text to the title here, and we'll see that it does in fact change. And we're going to come back to this in a quick second and change one quick thing. Once again, we can connect this price to the price here. Nothing changes because they're exactly the same. And that's all we need to do from connecting the CMS. In order to get this countdown,
Hey, Cole, real quick.
Yeah, what's up?
There's a pretty good question in the chat from Nina. She's asking, why are we using the CMS since it's just a banner when you can do this directly in the editor?
Yeah, great question, Nina. So generally, when you have a banner, often you'll switch it out every month or every week. For example, in the NewForm one, we had a banner up here. Let me go into an incognito window and then we can search it up and I will see the banner, I think. So we have our banner.
We also have the screen.
Oh, the screen. Gotcha. Wow. Double whammy, hey? Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're back.
There
Now
we
we're
go.
back. Okay. So yeah, we actually have a banner on our website, and when we change the challenge every month, we actually need to update it. So you could hop in the editor, super easy, and swap out this stuff. Brandon always has to remind me though, because I forget. So just putting it into a CMS is a lot easier. And then, we don't need to screw around with any changes to the design or whatever. So yeah, just because you'll be updating it typically somewhat frequently, often, that's kind of why we've gone ahead and done that. But you don't have to. You could certainly just edit it directly in the editor and be all good to go. Yeah. So I hope that answered the question. If there are any more, please feel free to let me know.
Will do.
Perfect.
We're good.
All right. So let's continue on here. So what was I talking about?
Sorry.
No, you're good. Oh yes, I remember what I was talking about. Okay, yeah. So for this text here, because we're going to be swapping out the text with our CMS, we never actually know how wide it's going to be. So instead of setting a fixed width like this, we're going to come in here and just set this to max content so that the container is always as wide as it needs to be. And we can do the same thing for this over here, just because if we have something that's super cheap, it's only going to be like 2 or 1 characters. But if it's like super expensive, then it's going to be more. So we can do that here as well. Okay. And now that is updated and it is looking pretty good. Let's move on to actually getting some, let's mobile optimize it first, and then we'll get the functionality in there afterwards. So currently, as it stands right now, this looks quite good on desktop. Even if I stretch it, it gets a little larger, it gets a little smaller, but it looks pretty decent. But as soon as we start dropping down to tablet, it's quite small, and then mobile, it's very, very small. And that's obviously not ideal. So instead, let me close this. Instead, let's hop back over to Figma, and I want to point something out real quick. So when you have elements that are relatively small on a desktop screen, oftentimes you don't even need to change their size when you move down to mobile screens. Okay, so for example, here on our desktop, we have our typography is a size of 15, and this typography is a size of 12. And if we hop back, or if we hop down to our mobile screen, we can see it's the exact same size for both of these. So we haven't actually changed the size of anything. We've just rearranged it a little, okay? And that's an important note that we can often carry across to a lot of different use cases. Now, if it's very large, then you will need to expand and shrink it. But if it's not, then you generally don't. So what does that mean for us? Well, on Wix right now, most of our units are in scaled pixels or percentages. Most are in percentages, actually. So this means that it's going to grow with the screen as the screen grows, and then it's going to shrink as the screen shrinks. But we don't need that, right? We can just do it with, we can just have it stay completely static, and that'll be fine. So that means that I get the very fun process of walking through here and changing everything from percentages to pixels. Now, lucky for you, I have actually thought ahead, and we will skip through this process. I already have a version waiting for us, but if you were to do this on your own project, generally I like to start just at the highest level container, change the width, come down here to layout, and make sure your row is also changed to static pixels, and then also change your margins down here to pixels as well. It's not very fun, so that's why we are going to hop from this demo to absolute, which I have here, which looks virtually identical. But this time, if I select something, you'll see that everything is measured in pixels, which is very good for us. Actually, this can be a max content like we had before, and we can swap this one over too. But everything else is in pixels. So if we come over to this container, we have a width and height in pixels, just like so. And actually we can change this to pixels as well. I forgot that one. Perfect. So the reason that we do that is then when we come down to tablet, it still looks
black screen.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Okay, here we go. We are back on. Okay, so the reason that we do that is now when we scale down to tablet, it actually still looks pretty good, with the exception of our X in here kind of intersecting with our time. So we're just going to go ahead and adjust the margin a tiny bit on this. We'll set it from something like 18 to about 5% or so. Okay. And yeah, now we can kind of scale through this whole thing, and it looks pretty good, right? There's not a whole lot that needs to change there. Then when we come down to mobile, now is when we're actually going to need to start changing the layout a bit, because some things are starting to collide. It's not looking fantastic. So what we're going to do is let's come into this container here. First of all, we have our image. So let's hide everything that we need to hide for a second. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that. Now we need to make our section a little taller here. So instead of guessing kind of how tall it should be, where it should go, let's hop back over to Figma and see how tall we've made this. So in our height here, we have 110 pixels. So we're just going to go over and set that to also 110 pixels. Okay. So this is why it is helpful to have mobile screen here as well. Even if you're not going to import it into Wix Studio, it's generally helpful to have that just for some little measurements. So we can hop back here. We can come into the height and set this to 110 pixels, just like so. Okay. Now, next, our container, our X needs to be in the kind of top right corner. So let's go ahead and get that done. We'll set this to 5% and dock it to the top, just like so. And we might even just scooch it in a bit more, just like that. Perfect. So that is in the top right. That's situated pretty well there. Now we need to start editing this container. First of all, the container is off the screen, so that's not ideal. And we're going to make it the full height as well. So in here, we're actually going to come into this and set the width to percentage. And we're also going to set the height to a percentage. And then we can just come in here and set these both to 100%. And another thing I forgot to mention real quick here, if you're not seeing these percent signs, if you can't switch to percents, if you're not seeing min width, max width, etc., then once again, just come over to these three lines up here, switch over to view, and then in sizing preferences, you can choose always show advanced. I prefer this. Sometimes I don't need it, but often I'll switch it on. If we have set per element, then you're going to see those starred pixels most of the time, which is okay. But in this case, since everything is static, we're not growing or shrinking anything, we don't really need that. So we'll set that to always show advanced, just like that. Okay. From here, it's really quite simple. Once everything is set to 100% and 100%, we can just come in here and start centering things just like so. Okay. And we'll also need to bump this one down a touch. So let's kind of spread some things out. But the nice thing about a drag and drop editor is we can just drag things around like so. Awesome. Now, if you really wanted to, you could, on desktop, you could select these two and create a stack, and then also stack it horizontally with this one. That would make your life slightly easier when you go ahead and rearrange these things. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make a big difference here, because if you were to have a bit more of an involved layout, then yeah, stacks would certainly be useful. And for those of you who don't know what stacks are, if you're used to building in CSS, for example, a stack is very similar to Flexbox and just spacing things out. So then we can adjust the spacing, which is admittedly very helpful, but in this case, not you know, the most needed. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just undo that.
That was a great. I'm glad you mentioned it, because Nina is in the chat asking why we don't have anything gridded up. And I think it's because you can go through the extra work to grid everything up and be very specific about where things can and cannot go, but because we have 3 pieces of information on the text, like with this layout, like even if you download this, you can be like, okay, well, I would like to grid these things up and be very specific about where things go and do not go. But because we have like 3 pieces of information, maybe 4, the things won't necessarily overlap because of the percent. You can maybe like actually go to desktop really quick. I'm curious. Like if we squeeze, we went black again.
Okay.
Technology be testing us. 1 second.
There we go. We're back.
There we go. If we squeeze this, we can just.
Yeah. 1 second. There we go. Squeezing.
Yeah. The way that we have this set up is that there won't be any overlap.
Yeah. I mean, the thing to consider as well is, since everything is static, we have a lot more control over where things are going to be. If they're growing and shrinking, then yes, absolutely. Typically, a grid is a better idea. But yeah, we've set it up in such a way that there's enough space that the X is never like over or too far or something like that. So yeah, but this is the spacing on this I should set to pixels so that it does not fall off the screen like so. There we go. So now we can see no matter what screen size we're on, everything looks, you know, relatively good regardless. Oops, let's hop back up here. Okay, awesome. So we can even hop over to preview just like so, and we can go through all the screen sizes just like this. Now, you'll notice that currently nothing works, nothing happens, right? So our timer doesn't count down, our X doesn't work if I click on it. So we're gonna go ahead and set that up now. Okay, so to set up the timer and the X, we are going to be using a tiny little bit of code. And I will go ahead and show you why we can't really use no-code tools like Wix for one specific reason. So yeah, we'll go over that in a second, but let's just hop in here real quick. It's super easy, okay? So in our onReady function here, we need to select our X. And so our X has an ID of box 9. So in order to select it, we just go ahead and type out $W and then box 9, just like this. So right now we are selecting that. And then what we want to do is when we click on that, what we want is we want to delete, we want to, oops, I have one too many brackets in there. No, I don't. There we go. Okay. What we want to do is when I click on that, we want it to delete the entire section. Okay. So we don't want it to just go transparent. We don't want it to kind of fade away. We want the entire section to entirely disappear so that we don't have kind of like a band up here like this. So actually I can hop over to our website and show you what I mean. So when our pop-up comes up here, when we click on it, everything slides up, and because that section is just entirely deleted from our page. Okay, so let's slide back over here. So what we want to do is we want to grab this entire section. So section 6. So once again, we just do $W and then we grab section 6, just like this. And then we just do dot and delete, just like so. Very, very simple, very straightforward. Wix has, I would argue, some of the best documentation for any of this out there. And we can also hop into the code assistant and ask it to do stuff. So if you didn't want to write up all this code, you actually don't need to. So if I come down here and we select our container, our X icon, and we just come to code assistant, we want to choose an action. So our action is going to be on click. Okay, so when we write on click, what we want to do is we want to delete hashtag section 9, right? Generally, it's a good idea to write that out as, you know, hashtag section 9. You could also refer to it just as section 9, but referring to it as its ID is typically a good idea. Okay. Then we can hit generate code, and I haven't actually tested this out. Brandon, was there a question or something?
There was. Nina's asking, why are we deleting the section?
Oh, yeah, perfect. So let me wait for this to finish writing out, and then I'll explain that again. But yeah, so this has written out virtually the exact same thing that we did. It also has a console log in there, which isn't super useful. And I realized that section 9 is actually section 6. So that is important to change, but yeah, exactly the same. So this code assistant is actually fairly good at what it does. A little slow, but that's not a huge issue. Anyway, so why are we deleting this section? So that actually brings me on to my next point here, which is why aren't we using this with an animation and effect? Why don't we just slide it up? Why don't we just make it transparent? Well, that is a really good question, Nina. So let me come in here and actually add something below, just so you guys kind of get an idea of what's happening. So in here, I came to sections, and Wix has a ton of really nice pre-made sections, actually. I have not scrolled through all of these, but there are some really nice ones. So this is
black screen happening. Sorry.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you once again. Here we are, and we're good. Okay, so this is a fashion company. So let's go ahead and import a fashion website just like this, or a fashion section rather. And then I will just go ahead and get rid of this padding here. Where is the padding? Hold on. Okay, perfect. So we will hop into, oh, did it? Okay, no, we're good. We're good. Yeah, here's the padding. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to add, or sorry, we're going to remove the padding here. And so now we have our announcement bar at the top, and then we have a nice section, a nice hero section right here. So the reason why we can't just, get rid of it or slide it up with Wix is if I go ahead and just comment out this code for a second so that it's not interfering with us, we can come over to here and let's actually set up an interaction. So we can set up click interactions really easily in Wix. So we can go ahead and hit add. And then our animated element, we actually need to select our section. So I like to select in the layers panel. So we'll go ahead and hit choose on canvas, and then I will select this section. And when I do that, we'll see that the only two options for us our color. So we can change the color or we can do nothing. And if I choose custom and even try and set up a custom animation, we get the same thing. So I can make it transparent, right? But even if I do that, everything else in there is still going to show up. So let's hop into preview here. And if I do that, nothing is currently happening. And yeah, so I mean, the point is it's not going to disappear the way we want it to. It's not going to like delete and collapse like we want it to. So unfortunately, the only way to do that is with code. Trust me, I tried it. And the reason I know all this is because this was the first thing I tried, is to do it with a click animation. But unfortunately, we cannot do that. So yeah, we do need to do that with some code. And if we go ahead and do that and then hit preview, just like so, and then we hit X, we'll see that it disappears, it slides up, it's no longer on the screen, which is exactly the intended effect. So that is really, really good to see. Perfect. So next we can go ahead and we need to get that time to start ticking down. And for this, unfortunately, we also need to use code. As far as I'm aware, maybe Nina, you can correct me. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that we can do a countdown animation without a little bit of code. I think there is a plugin, a Wix plugin to be able to do that, but we can't really change a whole lot of the styling for that, I believe. So we will go ahead and do this with just a touch of code. So I do want to point out that if you are going to be using this template, you don't actually need to write any code. All of this is automatically copied in. So what you can do is you can just grab the template that we have and start building right on there, and everything will work perfectly because everything is already set up. You don't need to touch a single line of code. However, if you are taking this and then copying and pasting it over to another site, then you're just going to do exactly what we're doing here. So I just copied some code real quick, and we can go ahead and paste it in here. Now, there's a lot going on, but don't worry about it too much. All you're going to need to focus on is the stuff down here. And I've actually put in some pretty handy notes here so that you know which is which. In this case, everything is already matching up, I do believe. But yeah, so this is our countdown text here. So if I go ahead and make this a little bit smaller, we have our text here. And this is already actually luckily named ID text 10. But if we change this to text 007, for example, then we are going to get an error down here, or will eventually. And so we would just come in here and change this to text 007, just like so. Okay. So yeah, it's just the stuff right at the bottom here. All of these hashtags you can come in and change, and you'll be pretty much good to go. So if we go ahead and preview this, we can see that our animation, or sorry, our countdown is looking really, really good. And it is in fact counting down, which is perfect to see. So I am seeing a bit of a problem here already, which is I forgot to set this container to max content, which means that as this gets wider and then less wide, it's kind of dropping down the line. So that's actually a really super easy fix. We can just hop in here and change this from a set width to max content, just like so. And now when we view this, it should not do that anymore. If it gets wider, the container is just going to hop out and then hop back in. So that is looking really good. And we can also preview it on different sizes, just like so. I forgot to remove the margin, or sorry, the padding on this, but you get the idea. And we still have that there. We go ahead and click the X, it disappears. Oops, no, that is not what I wanted. I copied the wrong thing. Hold on, let me hop back here. If we hop to our...
we got a black screen scenario.
Oh, shoot. Okay, gotcha. Let's hop over here, put this back on. Perfect, we are back. So actually, I need to set this one. Box 8 is what we want to do. When we click on box 8, we're going to navigate to the new page here. Okay. So when someone comes to your site and they're viewing the site, they go ahead, they click on this, then they're going to be navigated to Boots. But if they are, where was I? In Final, and they click on the X, then it's just going to disappear just like so. Okay. And yeah, with that, I think we are pretty much all done here, Brandon. Yeah, we have, I think, covered everything I wanted to. So if there are any questions now, please feel free to have at her. But yeah, thank you for attending my TED Talk.
TED Talks, all done. I wanted to go back because Nina apparently I asked the question wrong. I'm still very unsure about her question. What's the call it? I am in a control room, Robert. Her question was, hold on, let me go. I meant, why are you using delete? Because it deletes the section from the DOM and not collapse or expand. I don't even know where to take that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But hopefully you understand.
No, that is a good question, Nina. So I think what you're asking is why do we delete here instead of collapse, just like so. And I think I was testing with this and it wasn't quite working for me the way I wanted to. But let's go ahead and just test it right now. So if I do that, oh, we're still redirecting to the wrong side. But that does seem to work. So I think you're right that we could do collapse instead of delete. That would also be that would probably also be a good solution to the problem. Yeah. So they both.
I also think the way that we built it for our site, because I think it's what you were copying that from, where like our site, I think you've coded it to where when someone clicks it, like closes it one time, it's never there again. Like even if they come back. So yeah, it to be less annoying, but we would want to, we're trying not to harass you guys on our site, but as Nina was saying, you probably should just collapse in a normal situation, but we're not trying to like blast you guys every time you come to our site. It's just like a challenge.
Exactly.
But now that you said that, Nina, we're blasting you. We're changing it to collapse, and you're gonna be upset. No, I'm just joking. Robert was asking.
Yeah, Robert had some really good questions. So what if you want to update the time? That's a really good question. And another good reason that we're using the CMS. So right now, when we hit preview, you can see we have 11 days, 14 hours, 2 minutes left. So if we come back to our site here and come to our CMS, this is another reason to use a CMS. Then you don't need to go digging through code, which is even worse than just editing the site. So in here, we have it set to August 31st right now, but let's set it to like tomorrow, for example, or let's set it to like a Saturday. Okay. So we'll go ahead and hit save. And now if we go ahead and preview it, yeah, the time has changed. So it was 11 days before, and now it's 3 days and 14 hours. So just like that, hopefully pretty straightforward process and another good use case for the CMS. So yeah, very good question, Robert. Thanks for asking.
That was a planted question. I like it, Robert.
I think it was planted.
But again, I think Nina was asking why CMS, or some of you guys are like, why not an editor? Especially if you're delivering something to a client and they're like, if my eyes glaze over, parentheses and semicolons and stuff, the client's gonna die. Just give them, be like, hey, here's the CMS, just hit this button, change the images of the shoes, change the title and the date for the announcement or whatnot. And then the price tag. That makes it a lot more user-friendly than someone who is technical, because usually the end user of a website, a client, whomever, is not somebody who's technical unless they have a team or a dedicated person that they can be like, hey, go fix the code for the whatever. But even then, as somebody who's developing something, we want it as user-friendly as possible for the end user. Again, everybody does something different. There's a million ways to do something, so I'm sure some people just hand off their site where they're, the way to change it is through code, but this is a nice user-friendly way to deliver a site where somebody who is non-technical, who needs to by themselves or has a small team to change certain things, to give them a dashboard where they can change the image, change the price, change the title, change the timing. It's much easier.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And my screen just disappeared.
You gotta figure out what that is. We'll get to the bottom of it, guys.
We will, yeah.
But Maeve says, excellent job with today's tutorial. Thank you, Maeve. Let's see. Do you guys have any additional, let's see, vault? Yeah, exactly. I have no idea what that means. 25, 12, 31. That's like my birthday. Let me see.
Yeah, no, that's very fair, Robert. It's definitely easier to do it this way. That's why we had kind of like a lot of code, and why I would recommend just kind of copying and pasting or building directly on the template. And you don't even need to touch the code, so that you can just input it into the CMS and then you don't need to worry about it ever again.
All right. So that is it for today, guys. If you have any additional questions, we'll give you guys about a minute or two to plop them in. But again, if you guys liked today's session, first off, don't forget to like this video, subscribe. It'll help me and Cole sleep better at night. Also, if you guys want to download, play around with the timer, or really this, not just the timer. If you guys want to play around with this project on your own, add a little bit of whatever spice you would like to add to it, it is again in the description box on YouTube. You guys can get the Figma file as well as the Wix Studio template. There's also a ton of other templates. As you guys have seen, we have about 2 of these workshops each and every month. We've already had our 2 for this month, so that means the only other event that we have left for this month is our challenge. We are, what was it, 2 days and 13 hours away for the deadline. So make sure to get your submissions in if you haven't already. Make sure to join if you would like to put something to the test in the challenge, because this month we are going to be, not only, we haven't done this yet this month, but we are going to be sharing each and every submission in the challenge on Daily Web Designs on our story. So there's going to be quite a bit, but we're going to try to get everybody, because we've done our show reels, we've done our our posts for our showcases every Friday, but we really want to make sure that everybody who has participated does get some airtime. So that's a promise that we want to be able to deliver more on, and that's what we're going to do. Other than that, any other closing remarks, Cole?
Oh yeah. If there are any sections that you want to see us make, that would be very useful for you guys, just feel free to drop them in the Discord and tag myself or Brandon. We would love to hear kind of your feedback on what you want us to make next. Or if there's like AI features you want us to go through, also another good one.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, if you enjoyed, this is your first time here, don't forget to come to our community, our Discord, sign up to be a member by going to newform.community, links in the description. And also, if you guys are on Instagram watching, simply just comment and join. We'll automatically send you a DM to join us. Other than that, today we have Design and Chat. This Ari you were asking if we have Design and Chat today. We do. Design and Chat is at 1 p.m. EST today. So I'm going to go ahead and grab lunch, and I'll be back to see you guys there to hang out, answer any technical questions you guys have, and just to catch up with you guys. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining me and Cole today. I'll see you in Design and Chat, and I can't wait to see what you guys produced for the challenge. Have a good day.
See you guys.
Bye.